Today we're going to learn how to do some embroidery on burlap. You're going to need a piece of burlap, a needle, and some yarn. On the burlap, you're going to just do a drawing with chalk pastel. The chalk pastel won't really show up after we put the yarn on our burlap, but the chalk pastel is so that we can see where our pattern is, so we know where to put the yarn. So the first thing we're going to need to do is thread our needle. So on the needle there is an eye. That's where the yarn has to go through. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can stick it through the hole just like this. The one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to have the yarn come apart. The yarn's starting to split right there, and I don't want that to happen. And I don't want to lick it, because who knows who's been touching this yarn. So I'm going to twist it and pinch it with my fingers to make it smaller, and then I can put it through the hole like so. Another easy way to do that if you're having trouble with threading the needle is grab a little piece of paper like a hot dog, and it looks like a hot dog bun, and we're just going to put the yarn inside of it, and then I'm going to just scoot the yarn back so we can't see it, and then I can stick it through the needle like so. This part of the yarn we are not going to knot. You never knot the thread to the needle. On the other end, we need to make a knot. There's a couple different ways to make a knot. One way is to wrap the yarn around your finger like so and roll it. And as you roll it, then you just pull it through and it makes a knot. So you can make a knot by rolling it around your finger, or you can make a knot by making a U shape, putting it under, making an O, sticking the end through the O, and pulling it. So those are a couple ways to make a knot. You need this knot so that the yarn doesn't come through your burlap. So now I can start doing my embroidery. I'm going to stick my needle through the back first, because I want my knot to be on the back. You need to make sure every time that you're doing this, you pull the string till it stops. We don't want extra string yarn on the back. And then my next time, I'm just going to go along the line. Probably about a finger's width length. That's about how long you want it to be. And every time I'm going to pull it all the way through. And then I'll go start from the bottom again, and I'm going to pull it all the way through, and I'm just going to keep going like this all the way around my drawing. Now if I go through the same hole that I just came out of, it will undo my stitch. So I want to make sure that I go through a different hole. So I'm always going up and down. If I forget to go down and I come up again, see what happens? Oh man. Now it's on the side. What am I going to do? Well, I just showed you how to undo a stitch. I'm just going to go right through this hole again. and undo it. And it's done. So now I can just carry on. This is called a running stitch. The running stitch is going to create a space in between your stitches. If you don't like the space, then you can do a back stitch. And a back stitch is when you start up here, and then I'm going to go back to my other stitch. So I would start ahead of my stitch, and then I'm going to go back. Now another thing to remember is when you're pulling your string out, a lot of people pull it out too far and they keep pulling, and then the yarn keeps falling out of their needle. So when you're pulling your needle, you want to make sure that you hold on to the string part. So when I pull it and I'm pulling, if I'm holding this part, my yarn's not going to come out of my needle. But that's the basic way to do embroidery. And here's an example of a running stitch with the spaces, and then a back stitch with no spaces.